do I hate math? A curious question that I struggled to answer last semester. Was it because math was hard? But there were other things in my life that were hard, but that I still enjoyed, like playing lacrosse or writing an essay or working out. Wise people in my life believed in math. Before encouraging me to enroll in trigonometry last semester, my dad gave me the "math is good for you" speech. He said, "When your brain screams out in frustrated agony, you're growing neurons and making connections that'll make you smarter." So with this speech ringing in my neurons, I enrolled in community college trigonometry, and for the first week of class, I wanted to drop out. I didn't understand the professor's lectures. My past math classes didn't line up with the stuff we were expected to know, and I was desperately confused while the other students seemed to be understanding. I was giving myself diarrhea and having trouble sleeping at night. I was so stressed out. And we hadn't even had our first test. But I knew that math was something I had to do. Certain science, health, technology, and engineering careers require serious math skills, and I might want to go into one of those fields. I couldn't just drop out, so I desperately wanted to convince myself that this mandatory, awful thing that I had to do wasn't as bad as it felt. I think there are a lot of people out there like me. People who hate math, but if we could choose, would really rather like math. So if I couldn't come up with a good answer to why I hated math, besides finding it difficult, then why couldn't I decide to like math? Here was the key question. If we aren't inclined to like a subject, can we find a method to enjoy an approach to a subject instead of the subject itself? So, to convince ourselves to give this a go, we have to know why we should bother. Why should you want to like math? First, studies have shown that addition and subtraction really do more for growing your brain than things like listening to music or listening to text read aloud. Second, math makes you better at learning complicated things, and it makes you less afraid of complex ideas in classes. And third, math is on standardized tests like the SAT and the ACT, and our society has decided that our scores on those tests play a significant role in the success of our lives. So that is why you should want to like math. But can you actually make yourself and learn to enjoy the process? Yes, for two reasons. First, for those of us who hate math, it isn't the math we hate, but the anticipation. A study conducted by the University of Chicago found that the anxiety that occurred when people were asked to do math was only during anticipation. When people actually did the math problems, they didn't seem to experience pain. This suggests that it's not the math itself that hurts, but the thought of it that's painful. So if we just do the math, then it won't be painful. Second, we enjoy things that we're good at, and being good at math is not about natural ability. Research published in Child Development found that hard work and good study habits were the most important factor. So embrace the challenge. So there I was, my first week of trig class, having diarrhea. But I buckled down and I went for it. I went to office hours every week. I looked up the things I didn't understand, and I made myself a study schedule. And the funny thing was, as I studied, the math came easier and easier, and when our test finally rolled around, I got one of 3 A's in a class of 30. Even if I didn't love math, it wasn't the torture it had been, as I proved to myself I could do it and became proud of the work I had put in and of my approach. Many of us still have more math in our future. So if we can intentionally teach ourselves to be proud of our approach to math and therefore to enjoy the process more, I think it's worth the investment. So here are some techniques to help you become proud of your approach and enjoy math more. First, get a good calculator. In a math class, your calculator is one of the most important things. Before I enrolled in my trigonometry class, I talked to a friend who's getting her master's in math, and she recommended the Texas Instrument 36X Pro. For a non-graphing scientific calculator, it really is one of the best out there. Second, consider listening to music. As strange as it might sound, listening to loud and abrasive music makes you work harder to hear your train of thought, and this can help you to focus and prevent daydreams. Third, consider using a whiteboard. A whiteboard connects the physical body with the mind, and it helps you play the mental game of feeling accomplished with the work that you're doing. I had a friend who even preferred using a chalkboard as opposed to a whiteboard because the abrasive nature of the chalkboard made her feel more accomplished as she scratched away the problems. Fourth, consider using the Pomodoro method. The Pomodoro method is a time management technique developed in the 1980s. One cycle of the Pomodoro method is 4 rounds, each 25 minutes of studying with 5 minutes of break. After the 4th round, you take a longer 30-minute break. It's great when you don't feel like you can do any more studying than 25 minutes at a time. Fifth, go to office hours. Sometimes when we're struggling, going to office hours is the last thing we want to do, but seeing the professor can really help. Sixth, make a study schedule. It stops that awful and anxious feeling when you follow a plan. So yes, if we aren't inclined to like a subject, we can find a method to enjoy an approach to a subject instead of the subject itself. Using these techniques, I can avoid nervous poops when I do math, and I hope you can too.